What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake KBO DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. This is the last week that we're going to have all of our content for free at WiseTake.com. This YouTube channel will always be free. The streams we do will always be free. But this is the last week that we've got the projections for KBO, everything. I threw out the League of Legends projections. We got League of Legends projections for tomorrow morning slate. While you're up for KBO, you can go ahead and sweat some League of Legends as well. I plan on doing it. I'm going to play a little bit. I was waiting for the bigger slates, but I figure it's been a while since I played it, so I wanted to make sure everything was still working properly, and looks like it is. I'll be looking to update those lineups as well when I wake up for the KBO stuff. The bright side is they're around the same time. They're both in Asia, so it's like I think the LPL is the league, and they close. They lock at 5 in the morning, and the KBO is obviously 5:30. So you would expect lineups to be out around the same time. So I'm excited about that. Again, any stream we do on a YouTube channel will remain free. So please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications bell so that you are notified whenever we do go live with the good-ish. With that said, I think we got a lot right yesterday. I had a little bit too much jokish. I had the. What was it, the LG pitcher? I forget his name, but we talked about him. He ended up being a better play. I wish I had a little more of him. I think I got around 30%, and it was like an instinct thing. I should have went higher, but I didn't. I had a little too much jokish. All the pitchers I had, except for I think I had 10% Moon, who didn't do well, and we even talked about him. We were kind of veering off him as we went on, but everyone else that I had in my pool did really well, except for Jokish, who did it sucked really. I mean, he got a 13 against that team. Or whatever it was he finished with when, Drew, whatever his name was, and the other guys are going out there and doing dirties. I'm seeing you guys in that chat. Elliot, what's going on, Elliot? He says, who's the best pitcher in this league, real or fantasy? I think it's Koo. I think Koo right now is the best pitcher in the league. You could argue that maybe one of these, domestic dudes, but Koo just looks the most dominant by far to me. Despaigne, I would say, is the second best. I mean, he got blasted, but it was by Doosan. Give him a break. But I think Koo. I would agree with you, Elliot. I think Koo is the best. Dwayne, man, I was late, man. Dwayne James says, "Was my boy CK to go there?" Yeah, I was late today, man. I'm running behind, man. Started a little tiny project. Had Tommy SB come through to help me move a fridge from the garage to the house. It was a fucking disaster, man. Fucking had to take the doors off the fridge. Had to take the doors off the old fridge to move it downstairs. It was just a disaster. Did not expect it to take that long. I'm fucking exhausted, but hey, it's all good because after we get off this show, I got a couple articles to write. I got some projections to update, and including these. One you see here, these are straight numbers. I have not manipulated them yet, so they will look a little bit different probably. Not time. Maybe you can't even tell, but they will look a little bit different for those of you that are using them. They're still free this week, so make sure you take advantage. They will look a little bit different because I'm going to adjust them after the show and kind of use this show as I go through with you guys and take some notes so I remember to go back and adjust what I have to adjust. Before we do get right in here, for anybody who doesn't know already, I see Elliot is in the chat telling us the NBA is going to be fun. That's right, the NBA. It sounds like the owners approved the commissioner's little gig. So we should have 22 teams finishing out the regular season in just a few games, and then we'll have the playoffs. And we're looking at, I believe, the end of July is when we're looking at having NBA back. So those of you who like the NBA, like myself, I'm extremely excited. I was talking to Paulie D earlier. For those of you who know him, we're both extremely excited. We plan on going full force with the content. So a lot of good things to come. And on the bright side, we hope that MLB does come back. We hope that MLB gets their shit together and they come to an agreement for the good of the people, right? But if they don't, I'll rock with the KBO the rest of the season, and I'll have some NBA, and KBO will take us right up into football season, so we'll be good to go. And between everything else, we got golf coming up. We got projections for that as well. We've got NASCAR shit going down. Our boy Tom's been busting his ass on that, and Clint too. So there's still a lot going on, and I want baseball. I'd like to have MLB. I should say I want MLB. I'd like to have MLB, but we do have baseball. Right. Anthony Rodriguez, what do you watch these games on besides ESPN? Well, I live in Jersey. So in Jersey, the DraftKings Sportsbook is legal here. And as long as you have at least $1 in your DraftKings Sportsbook account, you can actually watch the games. They have all the games streamable right from my phone in the morning while I'm trying to fall back asleep after updating the lineups and shit. I got the fucking KBO deal on my phone, which is really fucking with my sleep because I should be going back to sleep. And instead, I'm going like 4 hours a night, which is like, it's cool for some people, but I need at least 6. I do. Like 4 hours, but then a nap and I'm good. But anyway, yesterday was a wild slate. We'll go ahead and jump into this one. Should be interesting. Hit that like button if you haven't already. I see most of you, or at least a few of you have. It really helps us out. Allows us to continue to do the dirty and continue to do the free content on the YouTube and Twitch world. My Concho says, I was just about to ask, where's Paulie D? Yeah, Paulie is around, man. He's doing his thing. You know, he's been working the whole time at his job. And he's ready to go for NBA. He didn't really get into the KBO all that much, or esports is not really his thing. I think he's been fucking with some MMA, but yeah, he's excited for the NBA. We'll be in full swing. He'll be producing content for NBA as well, in some way. Okay, let's go ahead and get in this shit. We got Kia going up against Doosan. So the first thing we're going to acknowledge here is Doosan is home. So we talked about how their park is one of the better pitching parks in the game, and we did see it seemed like they had a real hard time putting together like monstrous scores. Not necessarily winning, they were winning, but putting together monstrous scores when they were at home. So that's something to keep in mind with Doosan. I mentioned I'm going to treat them like cores, but the opposite. When they're home, that's when I don't really, I'll try to see what I can find around them. When they're away, especially in a hitter's park, I'm a little bit more aggressively into them. So we've got Min-Woo Lee and Young Holly. We will take a look here. Let's look at some pitching stats real quick. So Min-Woo Lee is kind of interesting. I mean, he has a 5.43. This is 2019. He had a 5.43 ERA last year, but a 3.59 FIP. He had a pretty good K rate. The strikeout to walk ratio was not great. But the home run percentage was slightly below average, nothing special. What he's done this year, he's been pretty solid. A 3.23 ERA, his FIP a little bit lower. Whip has gone down. You would like to see with an 18% strikeout rate, it's gone down, but it's still decent. You'd like to see this number a little over 2 if it's going to be around 18, but it is what it is. Haven't given up a home run. Maybe today's the day he does. But yeah, I'm not that into Doosan, mainly because they're home, but I would make an exception if they were against some exceptionally bad pitcher, but I don't think he's exceptionally bad. I don't think he's necessarily great, but I don't think he's exceptionally bad. The question is, as you look at him and you notice he's got a pretty healthy projection based off a 7.2 price tag, and we just talked about Doosan being a pitcher-friendly park. Do you have any issues in pitching him? And that's a line you're going to have to walk. It's going to depend on how many guys you could see yourself kind of playing on the slate, I think. There's a few other guys that I would go to first for sure, but there's not that many. There's not a ton of guys that I'm into. So, he's going to be low-owned. Even if people don't play Doosan today, he'll still be low-owned. They're not attacking him. And Doosan does not strike out again. Remember that. They do not strike out again. With that said, let's go to Young Holly. So last year, Young Holly was a decent real-life pitcher, but probably a terrible fantasy pitcher. I say that because he's got a 3.7 FIP, which is solid, but a 13% K rate, which is really not. Obviously, he doesn't walk a ton of people. You have a strikeout rate that low, and you're still above that 1 marker. It's not bad. And he didn't give up a ton of home runs. So far this year, he's been a little worse, right? His ERA is high, maybe not as bad as his FIP indicates he's been. Still not really striking dudes out. This is what I was talking about, 0.81. That kind of makes sense for a guy that strikes out people 12% of the time. Hasn't given up a home run. I'm just kind of blah in this game. I'm okay with Kia because Doosan's bullpen we know is terrible. They're like 9 out of 10 in ERA. I'm just not crazy about the park itself, and Young Ali sucks. So I'm okay with if you wanted to roll with some Kia stacks, because there's not like a ton that I loved on my first look when I first started looking at it. It wasn't a ton that I loved. So again, these projections you see on the right, I will be adjusting those, giving certain teams boosts and taking away from some. I'm not telling you guys you should fade Doosan. I'm just letting you know that I don't think I'll be like crazy over the top heavy on them. I'll have them. I will have them. But just maybe not as heavy as I've had recently, right? Makes sense. We'll go on to the next game. We've got see here. Where we at? Where we at? Such bullshit. All right, we got the Doosan. Wait. There we go. KT Wiz and a Lotte Giants. I actually like this game. I'll do the KT Wiz side. Okay. So we've got Min-Soo Kim going up against Jun-Won Seow. The Lotte Giants. Let's talk about a Lotte Giants. Dimensionally, their park is pretty decent for hitting, actually, as far as the dimensions of the park goes. In terms of what we've seen from them this year, if we sort by home runs, they are currently middle of the road. They're fourth in home runs per game. Not the Giants, their park. Fourth in home runs per game. And they're a little further down, probably like what? It's the sixth in runs per game. But the home run is kind of interesting, especially because the Lotte Giants are not a great offense. So, a lot of times if one team is underperforming to the average, it's up to the other team to kind of put those numbers up and go over the average in order for it to kind of rise. So, I'm into the KT Wiz in this particular situation. But before we even get into that, let's take a look at the pitching, understand who we are considering here. Well, let's start with Min-Soo Kim. Min-Soo Kim last year had a 4.5 FIP, 1.433 whip, only a 15% K rate. Doesn't really walk a ton of people. At 1.75 is not great, but considering how low his strikeout rate is, that is actually decent. And he gave up home runs last year, 2.82%. Again, keep in mind, the dimensions of this park are ideal for hitting. This year, this dude has been fucking awful. Like, he's been terrible. Look at this. A 14 ERA, a 5.96 FIP. A 3 whip, still a 14% K rate. He's still not walking dudes. But he's giving up a ton of home runs, everything. And I'm pretty sure he's been relieving for the most part. I'll look that up now just to be sure. I took a glance at everything obviously before when I was setting things up, but because I don't know the guys and like so many guys have similar names, I don't want to it's very easy to say the wrong fucking name and get yourself caught up. Yeah, he's been pitching out of the bullpen all season. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, he's okay. He's pitched out of the bullpen all season. So like against why is his numbers like this? For instance, he had 2 games against LG back to back. The first one he pitched a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 1 earned. The next day he got another third of an inning, 3 hits, 3 earned. So the next day after that, Kia put up 2 earned on 4 hits in 1 inning. So I mean, it has been good. I would assume he's not going to be in the game terribly long. And that's good for the Giants because the KT Wiz literally have the worst bullpen in the game. They're the only team that's bullpen ERA is higher than Doosan. So, again, between the park, I actually like a lot of Giants quite a bit, man. And they've never done well for me. I've played them a couple times. Not a ton. Like, let's be real. Like, in this league, most of the time you're probably playing better teams. I haven't played the Giants. And they've won a couple slates, especially early on. But I will be playing them. And, like, it's scary as fuck because I'm going to show you guys why it's scary as fuck for anyone who may not know. Look at the Giants. This is a projected lineup, of course. The lineups will be updated when we, hour before a lock or whatever. But a 105 team ISO, a 294 team WOBA. That is horrendous. That is fucking terrible. So what am I stacking up for, right? You wonder. But teams somehow figure out a way to get it done. Like the Samsung Lions went on a hot, crazy tear. They're at home in a better park. They're going up against a pitcher that's not going to walk guys, and is also, which tells us he's going to throw strikes. And is also not going to strike dudes out. So we expect the Giants to put a lot of balls in play. Well, they got So on the other side. As in Miso, So in 2019, he had a 5.47 ERA, 4.72 whip. Not good on either aspect. I'm 4.72 FIP, not whip. 1.6 basically is his whip. 13% K rate. Home run rate was a little high, or at least above the league average. So far this year, he's been a little bit worse, right? 5.09 FIP, 1.3 whip, 9% K rate. He's giving up a ton of home runs. So yeah, give me the KT Wiz again. That's easy. In this game, that's easy. Stacking the KT Wiz is easy because they're a good team. From what we expect, it should be a better home run or a decent home run park. And this pitcher sucks ass. So that's a little bit of an easy decision. Both pitchers suck, but one offense is good, one offense is a lot. So I expect the KT Wiz to be fairly popular. I don't know about LG. I'm sorry about the Lotte Giants, but I do expect the KT Wiz to be popular, and for good reason. I like the Wiz quite a bit. But again, I still like the Lotte Giants. I think they'll be lower owned. Holla, I think. Me thinks. LG Twins, Kiwoom, Heroes. take a look at them. LG 2010s. Oh, did I not do these lineups? I got all the wrong players in this shit? Okay, no, it was just a couple of them. Okay, I got to make a couple of changes to the lineup pages. I think I had Doosan in for the KT Wiz guys. Did you guys see that? Anybody catch that? I saw it and I was like, what the fuck was that? I did not like that. I changed the format of how I do the lineups, and I must have fell asleep on this one. I got him in for Doosan. I just have him in for KT Wiz also. I'm going to make that adjustment real quick, because I don't want to forget to do that shit. That's just bullshit. That's some bullshit. There we go. Here. I think that projected lineup for the KT Wiz. We got to get Rojas. Rojas has been a man on a mission, man. I don't think he homered yesterday, and because it was a crazy blowout, he did get pulled kind of early. He got pinch hit for rest purposes, I would assume. But he did it a double before he went out. So I'm telling you, man, he's good. He's a beast. Okay. Let me just make sure I updated the KT Wiz guys. We should see them now. There we go. Mel Rojas. There we go. Yeah, okay. We're good. Okay, now we will move on to the Kiwoom game. Let me see who's home. Kiwoom's home, so we'll go LG at the top. So we've got Chan Gayu Lim and Won-Tae Choi. These are actually two of the better pitchers on the slate. Pitching is not great, like it's not pretty, but these are actually two of the better looking ones as far as numbers go. We'll jump right into the pitching. These are two good offenses as well, so we have to also keep that in mind. These are two good offenses. It looks like as of right now, Kiwoom seems to like our projections seem to be on Kiwoom again. I have not adjusted these yet. So it's probably running off of numbers from last year. So let's take a look and see what he did last year and why we're getting this. Because I plan on pitching Chan Gayu Lim, but let's see. So we'll start with Won-Tae Choi because he's up top here, right? Last year he was solid, man. 2.96 FIP. Similarly, a really good real-life pitcher. Maybe not a great fantasy pitcher last year. Serviceable, but nothing special for a guy that's almost 9K today. It looks like he was averaging. Anyway. 15% K rate, doesn't really walk people. You have a 2.56 strikeout to walk ratio, and your strikeout rate's only 15%. You're not really walking people there. Didn't give up home runs either. So far this year, the FIP is phenomenal. Whip is solid. The Ks are up a little bit. 17.7 is more respectable. Strikeout to walk ratio is still high. He's not walking people. So I definitely think Won-Tae Choi is on the list. I'm not saying that we can't have any LG stacks. We know that they're a team with a lot of power, a lot of upside, but I think we have to add Choi to the list, especially because you'll see how bad the pitching slate is. At least in my opinion, it is. So I'm more than willing to add him to the list. Let's take a look at LG's guy, Chan Gayu Lim. So last year, here it is. This is the reason that our projections that I'm gonna have to make an adjustment to lower Kiwoom a little bit. Chan Gayu Lim 4.74 FIP, 18% K rate. Notice 18% K rate. He's got a significantly lower strikeout to walk ratio. That tells you he's walking dudes, right? And like there's a stat for that. I don't have to look at it that way. But if I really wanted to see if he's walking dudes, I could download the walk percentage. But anyway, 2.55% home run percentage last year. Not great. So far this year, he's been extremely unlucky. 4.43 ERA, a 2.42 FIP. 1.4 whip. Again, that has probably something to do with him being unlucky. 23% K rate, which is awesome. And his strikeout to walk ratio up to 3.83, which is the highest on this slate. So, not bad at all, man. Haven't given up a lot of home runs. He's been solid. So, I'll probably have to raise this projection to rate him out a little bit higher. I do like what I'm seeing from him so far. I mean, even if we leave it as is, I think he's technically third. And that's because this dude over here has been killing it in this particular year. But I actually do think that both these pitchers are in play. Chan Gayu Lim's strikeouts are more appealing. On the other hand, Won-Tae Choi was good last year. So it's not like, maybe not good fantasy good last year, but he was good last year. So Lim is cheaper, but he's more volatile. I think Choi's got a higher floor in the situation. But I do like both pitchers in this particular spot, whether you play them together or not. I'm into both pitchers, and we don't have a lot of pitching that I like on the slate. With that said, it's tough to just commit to the pitching only, and you'll see that because these are two good offenses with some good players. Roberto Ramos is a guy we like to play. He's been on a tear this year. Same thing with Hyun-Soo Kim. Hasn't been like on a crazy tear, but a 4.39 WOBA. We know he's a former Major League Baseball player. 6% K rate so far this year. Byung-ho Park is finally starting to get things going. He's up to 6 home runs. That home run percentage is creeping towards where he was last year. Dongwon Park is on a phenomenal pace. Is crushing what he did last year. So that's the one, like, kind of, I guess, downside to all this, if there was one. But yeah, I mean, you can see both teams are striking out at a decent clip too. LG about 18% for this projected lineup. Kiwoom about 18.9 for this projected lineup. Both teams, you can see LG's got a very strong 181 ISO. 362 WOBA, Kiwoom 167 ISO, 358. So not bad at all, especially LG, one of the better ones. So I do lean towards the pitching here. I do. But maybe most people will, and that's going to create low ownership on the bats. I don't know. It's a weird slate. It really is. It's a weird one. Next up, we've got the NC Dinos. We got the NC Dinos and the Hanwha Eagles. So Mike Wright, expect him to be chalky yet again. He's been chalk, I think, pretty much every slate he's pitched. But this one especially, he's going up against the Hanwha Eagles, who have the lowest WOBA, I believe, in the league. At least this projected lineup does, and lowest ISO, 112. There's no power. Again, a team WOBA under 300 is not a good look for any team. And they strike out, man, 19.96%, depending on the lineup. That can get upwards of 20 to 21%, depending on who they put out there. He's also backed by a really good offense. That certainly helps your chances of everything. We'll look at Mike Wright real quick. Again, in cash games, I think you can go ahead and plug him in because I think he'll be so popular that even if he gets his ass kicked in cash, like, you'll still be there. We've seen a lot of chalk pitchers go down recently. We have. So, curious to see. He's going to be chalk, no doubt. But is he going to be, 70, 80% like some of these chalk pitchers have been? Or is he going to be closer to 50, 60 because people are tired of getting burnt by the chalk and he's so clearly the chalk? I don't think that'll be. I think it'll be extremely popular yet again. It's hard to argue against it against Hanwha, especially when there's not a ton of guys that we're excited about outside of Mike Wright. So expect him to be popular. I'll have a healthy exposure to him, but it won't hurt you to have a team, at least a team or two, or a couple teams, whatever you want to say, depending on how many you're building, without him, and just get a little different. Take a shot on those guys like Chan Gayu Lim and Wontae Choi and some of the, maybe we'll find one or two others, but. I expect Mike Wright to be popular. With that said, it's interesting. His 3.2 ERA is not really supported, right? He's got a 4.74 FIP. Looks like he's been a little lucky. The K rate's fine. 20.5 is okay, and he gets a boost in this spot. Strikeout to walk ratio, not nearly high enough, right? He's walking too many people. His home run rate, too high. He's giving up too many home runs. Now, with that said, as far as the parks go, Hanwha's park does grade out to be the lowest in runs per game, and they are second lowest in home runs per game. The only park with less home runs per game than the Hanwha Eagles park is the Doosan Bears. How about that? And it's pretty significant compared to the separation of other groupings. So do what you do with him. His opponent is Huan Zhang, who we'll look at 2019. Was not a very good real pitcher in my opinion, but maybe one of those like potential upside tournament pitchers last year is what I would say looking at these numbers. 404 FIP is not great. 19% K rate is pretty solid for this league. The strikeout to walk ratio is not pretty, right? Home run ratio is high. And so far this year, he's kind of been about the same, man. Like, the strikeouts are there, 24%, but a whip over 2, FIP still 4.32. He's been unlucky. Maybe he doesn't deserve the 6.93. The positive here is the NC Dinos have one of the best hitter-friendly parks in the game. They're leading the league in home runs per game at their park. Not them, their park. And they're up there in runs per game, too. There's a lot, it is what it is with the parks. I don't love picking on the Dinos, but I prefer to pick on them to Doosan only because they strike out more. I will acknowledge that I think the pitcher that's facing Doosan looks better based off overall numbers. But Zhang does have a 24% K rate, and those Dinos can strike out. I'm not going over where I'm trying to preach to you guys. Oh, yeah, Shihuan Zhang, but we're pretty desperate for SP2 options. On FanDuel, you don't have to think as hard. Maybe we already covered your options for there with one pitcher, but on DraftKings, you need two of these guys. It's not pretty. It's taking risks all around. And I do expect like Wright and Choi to be the most popular with maybe Lim third. So, think about that from an ownership perspective. Huang is nothing more than a pivot to me. A cheap pivot if I felt like I needed it. That's it. With that said, the Dinos offense, if you're not playing Huang or even if you are just in other teams, certainly explosive. Minwoo Park's been finally starting to get going. Sungbum Na's doing his thing. This catcher, Earji Yang, seems like he hits a home run every other day. I don't know how he's only showing up with a 3.49% home run percentage. Maybe this has to update, but I feel like he's hitting home runs every day. Aaron Altair is either striking out or hitting dingers. That's what he does. That's what he's here to do. Dong Kwan out there just ruining lives. That's what he does. So I'm fine with the Dinos always. Always and forever. Last game, we went quick on this one. It's a weird slate, right? I'll pop in the chat after this though. Samsung Lions and SK Wyverns, Kim Dae-woo and Ricardo Pinto. Samsung, not anticipated to be a very good offense. They just went through a streak where they were just red fucking hot, putting up monster nights, breaking slates on the regular. They won 6 out of 7. Then they ran into LG yesterday and just got stomped on getaway day. Now they traveled to SK. SK's park, not known to be hitter friendly, at least not so far. They're not the worst. They're currently 4th from the bottom. What's that, 6? I guess, which doesn't sound bad, but there's only 10 teams. In home runs per game. And I think in runs, they're pretty low too. Yeah, they're actually 2nd in runs per game. So this could be a potential spot to see if we can find a pitcher if we like anyone. Although I will admit it's not pretty looking at the first guy, Daewoo Kim, I'll tell you that. SK has been extremely disappointing. You can see they have a 114 team ISO, 321 WOBA. That's just fucking terrible. Samsung's numbers are better than theirs right now, but that's not how things were supposed to be. They were supposed to be a lot better. It's just kind of how things kind of worked out. But I do anticipate them getting a little bit better. That is one thing that I agree on the raw projections with. I do like. I am kind of interested in SK at least a little bit. Pinto is the one I guess you can consider pitching. You could also attack them. Neither of these guys strike people out. You're going to get a lot of balls in play. But again, this is a bigger park, so you're going to have to rely on a little bit more small ball. Sure, SK's got some boppers, guys like Jamie Roback, Jeon Choi, who started off kind of slow, but we know based off last year that they have a ton of power. If we look at Daewoo Kim, who I believe was a reliever last year, he was pretty fucking bad. A 5.21 FIP, 15% K rate, 16% K rate, a 4.35% home run percentage. He was pretty fucking bad. If we look at what he's done so far this year, I think he's been pitching out of the bullpen also, but a 6.16 FIP, a 9% K rate, 4% home run rate. So I don't like the park, but I do like the SK offense, man. I think that I think they could do some dirties right here to these guys. So I'm definitely interested in attacking Kim. As far as Pinto, last year he was mediocre in every fucking aspect of the word mediocre, right? In real baseball, mediocre numbers. Fantasy baseball, mediocre ass numbers. Nothing special. 12.5% K rate. Didn't get rocked either, so he wasn't even a pitcher you love to attack. He just wasn't shit. So far this year is pretty much the same. All right, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm looking. That's this year. He wasn't in the league last year, so this is all this year. I think. Right? Yeah, this is all. Okay, that was my bad. This is his first year. I apologize. And in that first year, he's been mediocre in every aspect of the word. His first couple starts, he got blasted. Then things kind of calmed down. BABIP's going to come around. He's going to get a little lucky. He's going to get unlucky. He's going to go through cycles. But he's just not a high upside guy. He's playing Samsung, who has been explosive, but they can suck. Like in the beginning, in the first week or two of the KBO, we were attacking Samsung every day and making money. Then they just kind of woke up and did their thing. But they could be cooling down. They fucking sure as hell cooled down yesterday. That LG pitcher that we were on just destroyed them. So I don't know. I think you can consider pitching him because of how bad this pitching slate is. I'm not crazy about it. But you can see it's a shitty pitching slate. And even though we have some decent offenses, some of them are in shitty parks. Or, I don't know. It's just a weird slate. One thing for sure that I can tell you, and you guys probably already know, is Mike Wright is going to be popular. So take that for whatever it is. If you don't have enough of him, he's going to destroy you. If you have too much of him, he is going to destroy you. So you're going to have to make the decision on which way you're rocking with that. And, kind of take it from there. That's it for the slate-by-slate breakdown, though. Okay. I see some questions here that I can get into. Let me see. I agree, Elliot. Elliot says I could play this for years and never remember these names. It doesn't help when people got the same name. It doesn't help. Elliot says, who are the bullpens to attack? I can tell you that Doosan and KT are the two worst. KT is currently 10th in ERA. Doosan is 9th. I would love to have a little bit more data on that, but I'm just kind of going off of what I've seen. Let me see. Anthony Rodriguez has a good question. When you're looking at FIP, how do you know if a pitchers are getting lucky or unlucky with balls in play? So normally, that's a great question. Normally, we have the BABIP stat. So we can look at FIP and look at the BABIP stat, and we can look at XFIP. which is more of a predictive stat. That's where they expect him to go based off his numbers. We're limited on the stats that we have. So FIP, I'm really, really leaning on for luck. And just to give an example, so it takes kind of the bullshit that the fielding aspect. It's fielding independent pitching. So that's kind of like getting rid of the fielding aspect. What is this pitcher doing? Just him. And so like a guy like Changayu Lim, for instance, right? He's got a 4.43 ERA, which is not very good. And typically when the ERA is high, you're going to see a whip that's a little bit higher than usual for that player because obviously they're giving up runs, which means they're giving up base runners and all that kind of stuff, especially when Lim's home run percentage is only 1%, so he's not giving up a lot of home runs, yet his ERA is over 4 and his whip is 1.4. So that's how I like to look at it. Normally, you'll see the BABIP kind of match up with those numbers if we had it. So that's the reason you'll see this differential column here is so I can see who's been. If it's a positive, then Min-Soo Kim, for instance, right? He's just bad. Yeah, okay, 14 is too high. He's been unlucky because it's really 6. He's still fucking bad. 6 is still terrible, right? But these other numbers are a little bit more realistic. Mike Wright, maybe it looks like he's been a little more lucky than he should be, and it makes sense. Look at his home run percentage. Home run percentage, like fielding and not fielding, either you hit a home run or you didn't, right? He's giving up a 3.42, which is massive, yet his ERA is only 3.21. So the hits in between those home runs, he seems to be getting a little bit lucky. You see what I'm saying? King Paid, I like that name. I like to get paid. How would you rate Hanwha's Park? So according to mykbostats.com, Hanwha is currently last in runs per game. And they are currently second to last in home runs per game. The only team that has a worse home run per game number are the Doosan Bears in their park. So I would say that Hanwha seems to be a pretty pitcher-friendly park. So it looks pretty good for Mike Wright in that aspect. If that's what you're wondering. But Anthony, that was a great question with the FIP, man. Major League Baseball comes back, man. We have all kinds of stats, and it's phenomenal to analyze. But sometimes this is good, man. Sometimes you could really overwork yourself and overanalyze things and put yourself in a position. But I think it's pretty good. Curb Fantasy Sports says fade Kim. Elliot says Kim who? Exactly. Which one? Right? We got too many of them. Min-Soo Kim. We got Daewoo Kim. We got Changayu Lim, which is close to Kim. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it should be an exciting slate. Like I said, the projections are pretty raw, the ones you just saw. I'm going to go through and kind of like update them and make sure that they're kind of what we're looking for. I think I have a better grasp of this slate, which is why I like doing these streams. Real quick, there will be no stream tomorrow. I got some family stuff going down, so no stream tomorrow. Might do on Saturday. Depends on what time everything goes. If lock is at 1, I like to do the shows when lock's at 1 because I get to talk to you guys a little more fresh to the slate. But either way, I will continue to do the projections, the cheat sheets, all that stuff will still be available, and it's all going to be free this week. We're not even putting the paywall back up until next week. And even then, like I said, man, the streams will still be free. So those of you who want to get down and take it to the next level, you can catch me over there next week. Enjoy it free this week. Those who, it's not your thing, or you're not serious enough for it, or whatever, or you just don't think you need it, that's fine. You think you're just cool hanging out with the streams. We'll do that. Curve Fantasy Sports, Kim Stack. Do you mean like you're gonna stack all the Kims? Is that what you mean? Or are you asking about Kiwoom, the Kiwoom heroes? And we could look at them real quick. Just in case you're talking about Kiwoom, we can take a look. Heroes, Kiwoom. Oh yeah, okay. So I don't know for sure if we're gonna. I wouldn't say that I'm gonna fade them, but I do think I did like the pitching in this matchup. I did think only because I felt like we kind of needed it, but maybe we don't. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I would never. I'm never gonna use the word fade when you have two offenses that are this good playing each other, with basically a 10-run total, and I'm not gonna say the word fade. Going underweight is one thing, and maybe I do definitely like the Giants and KT Wiz game the most. Then I think I like SK. I don't like the park, but SK's matchup is phenomenal. After that, that's where things kind of get dicey. You got the Dinos, you got Doosan, take some shots on. Things get a little dicey after that. You know what I mean? Anthony Rodriguez like that. Elliot too, huh? Stack all the Kims. Stack all the Kims and win the money. You could do that. Stacking all the Kims, it's funny, Curve, if you were talking about Kiwoom, you might have been talking about Kiwoom either way, I realize now, because they have 3 Kims in their projected lineup. They've got Woong Bin Kim, they've got Hai Sung Kim, and of course they've got Ha Seong Kim, who's just the beast. I love that dude. But anyway, Nation, I'm going to get out of here, man. I'm going to work on the article. That'll be out for free later on WiseTake.com. The projections and cheat sheets will be out shortly as well. League of Legends is up for the morning, so if you want to grab those, only 2-game slate. But if you want to, go do the dirty with that, be my guest, do that dirty. Hit that like button if you haven't already. I'm going to get out of here. Like I said, we'll be covering the KBO every day through the weekend. The show, we're not doing tomorrow. No show Friday night for Saturday slate. Maybe we do a show Saturday if I have time, if I can make it work. But regardless, I will do the content at WiseTake.com, so make sure you're paying attention. With that said, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.